Hello everyone, Sableye here and welcome back to the channel. This past weekend were the Knoxville Regional Championships and we are joined today by Olivia Maletsky, who managed to get 33rd at the regional. Olivia, feel free to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Olivia. I'm a VGC player from Toronto, Canada, and I managed to get 33rd at my second ever Masters event.
Just casually managed to get 33rd. Just casually, just working it in there. But might as well jump into the team right now. So talk me through a little bit of like the team building process, kind of how you came up with these six, stuff like that.
So I was watching OCIC, and I thought it was cool, and then I made my team.
So
I watched Battle Rooms run throughout the tournament,
yeah,
and originally literally stole his HP EVs off from the stream
for
and
sure.
built off of that until
Yep.
I found better spreads.
But that's fair though, right? Like you kind of take
Yeah,
the idea from somewhere, right? The idea has to come from somewhere, right? And
yeah, absolutely.
right, you take the idea. Well, obviously it was working well enough for Colin, right? So you borrow some of those spreads for the time being, and then you fine tune it to fit your style afterwards, right? Like
Absolutely.
it makes perfect sense, right? And I'm just happy Flutter Gambit did well because I've been trying to make this team work
It's been
for
fantastic.
weeks. So I'm happy someone was able to bring it to an event, and it's actually been picking up in usage recently. So I'm happy to see it do well. So why the mousehold? Let's talk mousehold. We don't talk mousehold very often.
Originally, I was building with you after
Yeah,
our local last weekend, and I thought Brute Bonnet was the play. It seemed fantastic. It didn't have Friend Guard though, and Friend Guard has been so helpful throughout my run because I could switch in, take a really, really strong hit with my bulky Flutter Mane, and get 3-hit KO instead of 2-hit KO'd, and then D-Gleam and get like a 2-hit knockout or a 3-hit and then helping hand myself, which has been amazing and very consistent.
oh, for sure, for sure. Definitely, I like your version. Like, the mouse makes sense on your version too because you have the choice specs, right? On my
Yeah,
version, I don't have the choice specs, so I can just kind of protect if I'm worried about a big hit. But
yeah.
on your version with the friend guard, it makes a lot more sense just to support that flutter main, so you're not, oh my goodness, I have to protect or I'm just gonna get KO'd, right? So
Mhm.
I really like that. So what are some of the matchups like? Like, what do you do into, like, let's just say Talonflame Great Tusk for this to start things off here? We'll talk about that.
So it really depends on the other four that they have, but usually I like to lead Bundle or Dragonite and try and match their speed,
That's fair.
or just get an Icy Wind off to break a Sash or break Gale Wings, and then have my partner try and pick up off of that, like Assurance or Shadow Ball or Power Gem or something like that.
Okay, so kind of just keep their speed control and
Try and negate it pretty much.
yeah, so whether they can try
Yeah,
to get the speed control, you're either gonna match it, just slow them down, just kind of play the speed control game. Don't let them get it up for free, basically, sort of thing.
exactly.
All right, I like that. I like that. Armarouge and DD, I know that's a big one, right? Like, oh my goodness, what do you do versus Psy Spam? Let's talk about that one real quick.
That was very funny. So in round four,
Yep.
I ended up fighting a player named Stefan Rich,
Okay.
who from what he told me, he was a player in 2017, did not pick up the game at all until like a month ago.
Wow.
So we were talking, and he thought there were restrictions on Paradox Pokemon,
Okay.
like legendaries.
Yeah. Okay.
This very unorthodox Armarouge and DD team with a Bramblegast.
Yo, homie Bramblegas coming through.
If the What he told me is it's supposed to wall Palafin.
Okay.
So I was honestly really scared because I don't know what I do into that outside of Flutter Mane
Yeah.
because I can't Icy Wind it.
Yes, because of the ability there. I don't remember what it's called at the
Yeah,
moment. Wind Rider, I think it is, right?
yeah. So I lead Dragonite Great Tusk into that and most other Armorgen DDs, and just Ice Spinner plus Earthquake.
Yeah, I like that a
Or
lot.
depending on their builds for Indy and Armorgen, I either Ice Spinner plus Headlong Rush the DD,
That's
calling
fair.
it Protect,
Yeah.
or I just Terra Ground Earthquake and Ice Spinner the Arm Rouge, calling it Terra Grass.
That is completely fair. Now, knowing you're not the Brute Bonnet version, I mean, I'm sure you're gonna yell at me when I ask you this question because I know the answer, but I don't think the viewers may not know the answer. So, the Dondozo matchup, the infamous Dondozo
Oh,
matchup,
boy.
obviously looks a little rough off paper. It's immediately, but like obviously you felt comfortable enough into it. So, what's your thoughts on that? Like, how do you kind of get through that?
Kind of like Talontusk, it really depends on the other
Of
four,
course.
but I need to position really, really well with either Bundle plus Great Tusk, Bundle plus Maushold, or Maushold plus Fluttermane.
Okay.
And I need to just get that raw damage before it can kill me.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I have Friend Guard over just Brute Bonnet as a whole,
Yep,
because
that's
I
completely
need
fair.
that to happen.
That is completely fair. And I guess if they Terra Steel, you can kind of force things with the Great Tusk, right? So
Exactly.
obviously easier said than done, and I know it's very difficult by playing with the team from experience, but the lines are there. It's just not the easiest of lines, right? Am I understanding that
Not at
correctly?
all.
Gotcha. So one last thing on the team here before we start talking about kind of the Tua run and such, but why do you think this team functions so well? Let's just go with that.
First, I think having the Assurance King Gambit underspeed everything with either a Specs Pokemon,
Mm-hmm.
a basically adaptability Dragonite, or a Super Fang is insanely valuable. Versus my match with Enzo,
Yep.
or no, think it was Hogan.
Okay.
I got to Ice Spinner plus Assurance and Oko a Terra Fairy and DD at full.
Goodbye, Terra Fairy, indeed. Yeah. Assurance just goes crazy. Absolutely
It does. It's
amazing
so
move.
much better than Kowtow, and
Uh,
some people just don't use it.
yeah. For anybody that may not know, Assurance is a move that doubles in power if your opponent has already taken, or if the target of the move has already taken damage that turn. And just a little bit of a fact there. Basically, if you Assurance into a Pokemon that has Life Orb, so let's say Dragapult clicks Dragon Darts and takes Life Orb damage, that will double the power of your Assurance going into it because of the way the wording of the move works. So you can always get extra double damage that way as well. So Assurance is a really fun move. Let's talk tournament run though now. Like, I mean, obviously the run went well. Any highlight matchups? Any cool stories you want to talk about? We can. This is where we chat now.
Um, I feel like my match in round 6 versus Enzo Richie
Okay.
was definitely one of, if not my favorite highlight of my run.
Cool. So talk to
Because
me.
back when I was a senior, I was never able to travel. I
Okay.
only ever got to play locals and Toronto regionals.
Yep.
And I always knew Enzo as this monster in the seniors division, next with like Quinton and
Yeah.
Cream and Zing.
Yeah. Some of the
I
big
never got
senior
to
names.
play him. Pardon?
Some like the bigger senior names. You know, the ones you recognize.
Absolutely, yeah.
Gotcha.
I never got to play him, and I was always kind of in the back of my mind scared of him. So I ended up fighting him round 6. Very nervous because I also had an energy drink right before that. Which
So
didn't help.
you're ready to go. You're like, oh no, Enzo, no.
Oh, wait. We talked a little bit before we started and I guess reminisced.
Yeah, of course.
And as soon as we started, he was running Armor Rouge and DD with T-Tar,
Okay.
which was honestly kind of hard to break.
I can see that.
But
Yep.
game 1, I kind of just threw it away because I wasn't really there.
Mm-hmm.
But games 2 and 3, I really locked in and just played very well and positioned really
Mm-hmm.
well versus him, as to where I could abuse him trick rooming with King Gambit.
Yep.
As well as just outspeeding it with Great Tusk.
Completely fair. It always feels nice, you know, and just one of those matchups where you're like, this is probably a difficult matchup, but you just find a way to like get to that second gear, get to that next level, and just manage to outposition, right?
Absolutely.
It always feels really nice.
During game 3, I ended up terrestrializing my King Gambit, so I could Earthquake myself in case he did set up the Trick Room to get that Assurance off, while also hitting both slots, which really mattered.
For sure. I like that. I like that for sure. Now, obviously, you made day 2 as well. Obviously, that was a dumb statement. I mean, you did get 33rd.
Well, thank you, Ryan.
Obviously, day 2 happened. But any other big matches? I think I saw you play Paul 2 at one point as well, right?
My match versus Paul Chua went surprisingly well. Game 1, I just got raw outplayed. Game 2, I positioned perfectly
Yep.
and got a really strong power gem into his Flying Roaring Moon,
Nice.
which just sealed the game.
Yep.
But Game 3, I ended up missing a Hydro Pump versus his Arcanine, and I'm not entirely sure if it mattered or not. Maybe not. But
It's always one of those
it is
tough ones, like you want to
yeah, exactly.
you want to say it mattered, but you don't actually know, right? Like I feel that.
Yeah, but being able to go Game 3 somewhat
Mm-hmm.
close with Paul Chua,
Yep.
and getting honestly, being told that I was a really good player by him, it felt like it meant a lot to me, especially as like a dedicated Ice Hulk player in Series 12.
For sure, definitely. For sure. And it's kind of funny that you mentioned Paul Chua because for me, when I first started like realizing that like I was a somewhat decent player, right? It was after my Atlantic City run back in 2019, and I had lost that regional, or I'd lost my chance and cut in my winning in to Paul Chua as well. Obviously, I misplayed in game 3, but it was a very, very fun set. And it was one of those ones where I kind of had to just realize that, hey, I shouldn't be scared of who I'm playing because I can clearly compete with anybody.
Absolutely.
But definitely a solid run on your end. Any other matches you wanted to highlight at all?
My round 8, my winning into day 2, that was very stressful.
Who'd you play?
I ended up playing Evan G,
Okay.
who was running Garchomp Talonflame. It was really hard to deal with as well, since he was a fire type Garchomp.
Yeah, so you're resisting that Flutter Mane and you're resisting that bundle and almost forcing you into the pumps, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we had a really back and forth set. He just outplayed me a bit
Yeah.
in game 1. Game 2, I had a really strong lead and won. In game 3, I ended up getting a double knockout on his lead by calling a Terra on his Friggraph. And I don't remember the other slot, but ended up OHKOing that as well. And then turn 2, he brought in his Talonflame Garchomp. I switched out my Flutter Mane into my King Gambit to make sure I had it for the end game versus Garchomp.
Yep.
But my King Gambit gets frozen by Freeze Dry.
Oh no.
So it's bundle versus the world.
Yep.
It's a 4v2.
Right.
But that 2 is really strong versus my team.
Of course. And they were in position to do stuff, right? Like
yeah. I had to play very, very well just with bundle to set up into an end game where either Flutter kills or bundle kills. What ended up happening is that it was a 3v2 where my Backmon, which I don't remember what it was, but it couldn't deal with Garchomp. I killed Talonflame with Flutter Mane.
Yep.
And I had a full HP bundle. I did not die to a... no, I didn't call the Friggraph terrestrializing. That was game 2. But game 3, I ended up living a Terra Ground Earthquake from Garchomp at full, which ended up mattering, which let me take the game.
Yeah, because it allows you to just have that one extra turn. That's massive.
Exactly.
That is absolutely massive. But no, once again, congratulations on 33rd. I mean, if there's anything else you want to talk about, now's the time. Any shout-outs or anything like that? I never almost forgot about that one. But of course, anybody you want to shout out, feel free to do so.
Huge shout-out to Marcus Dion, the only other Canadian at the event, who ended up also day 2ing and is in my carpool.
Let's go Canada. Sorry, Canadian pride. Gotta represent a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to you for helping me out with this team after OCIC, because I had no idea what to do after our local.
Okay, but what did I do? I didn't do anything.
But you did, though.
Okay,
you got me to not run Brute Bonnet.
I got you to not run Brute Bonnet by telling you to run Brute Bonnet. Really makes sense. Really makes a lot of sense.
Nobody knows this outside of Marcus, but on on the car ride to Knoxville, I legitimately tried Scyther over Dragonite.
I mean, Scyther's one of those cool mons. Like, I just don't know if I'd bring it to a 9-round regional, you know?
Yeah, that's why I didn't lock it, but
That's fair.
it worked really well because I got to pounce Assurance Goldengos, which was so good for my team. So I legitimately considered it for a good 2-3 hours before I just backpedal onto Dragonite.
I mean, that's fair, but like really in those 10, 11-hour car rides, what else are you really going to talk about? You know, you need to come up with something, right? So honestly, it's cool. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing that. Any other changes you'd maybe switch to the team? Anything else? Like, if anybody else like were to try the team, advice, maybe something you'd switch up?
Moshold was definitely a follow me friend guard bot. It did not really do much else.
Okay.
I didn't really feel like I had many opportunities to Super Fang at all.
Mm-hmm.
And Dragonite, as good as it is, I never really got to get it going. Because, like, it came into Armourouge and DD matchups to stop Psychic Terrain.
Okay.
And it would let me set up Tailwind in general with multi-scale. But after that, it doesn't really do that much.
Yeah.
If I don't want to do that.
That's completely fair. It's definitely not the Giovanni Costa Dragonite that's pulling the game back 4v1, you know? But definitely makes sense. Like, I feel like this team has every piece that kind of just functions, right? Some obviously more than others, but I definitely think the team is really strong.
Mm-hmm.
But no, if you've got nothing else, I think we can go ahead and start wrapping things up here. You know, I think we've kept people listening long enough.
Absolutely.
All right, so with that, Olivia, thank you once again for stopping by the channel, agreeing to come on and do the team report. And once again, congratulations on 33rd.
Thank you so much.
And with that, as I mentioned, I will stop rambling now. If you're interested in following Olivia on social media, links will be down below. Every other relevant link, people we've talked about, will also be down below. So if you want to check anybody like that out, feel free to do so. Rental code paste also. You get the point by now down below. If you guys do want to see more team reports on the channel, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. It really does help out the channel. I do appreciate it. And with that, I will stop rambling now, and I will catch you all in a future video.